I want to bring you to New York in the end of the 19th century to a man that arrived as an immigrant to the United States. His name was Nikola Tesla. Probably you already heard the name. And immigrated he immigrated and arrived in the United States with very ambitious ideas in his mind. He was one of those people that was not just an engineer, but someone who could see the whole thing together when thinking about a solution. A brilliant mind, someone who could look to a problem and in a quick walk, just thinking about an impressive and innovative solution for that problem. Tesla believed that alternating current was the best and the more efficient way to distribute energy across long distances. On the other side, we had another genius, the man who had and still have more patents registered in the United States. His name is Thomas Edison. And Thomas Edison was already established at that point. Already very rich with the entire business and infrastructure running on a different technology, direct current. That is basically two ways of making energy be distributed across long distances. But of course, he felt the challenge. He felt the what is coming from Tesla was actually quite good. The problem here is that Edison already had all the investors. The money was flowing to Edison ideas because he was already, he already built his influence to whatever was working and he invented. And for energy was not different. The point is, Tesla for sure had the better solution. And what followed at that point was what would be known later as the war of currents, alternating current and direct current. And in this case, Edison ran many public campaigns against Tesla ideas, even with public demonstrations that his idea was not that good, even though Edison knew that it was better technically. Well, Tesla won this fight, but only technically, because alternating current was adopted, and for sure the world saw that this man was quite brilliant in what he was doing, but he still had a gap to understand how the system works. And years later, Tesla would work on something even more ambitious. He wanted to transmit energy wirelessly, transmit energy to people globally for everyone without using cable. So wireless transmission of energy. Super ambitious. So he would build his tower for make this happen, and he was founded by some very powerful people. We include one of the most rich persons of the time, J.P. Morgan. Yes, himself. And JP Morgan was funding the project. Tesla was starting to work on that until Morgan asked a very important question. How are we going to charge people for this? That was the point that JP Morgan understood that this idea from Tesla, even though it was brilliant, that would make the access for energy democratic and quite hard to control centrally and therefore make a good amount of money out of that. What happened? Of course, the funding for the project stopped. The project died, the tower and everything was dismantled. And Tesla would end his life in a rotor room in New York with almost no money. And of course, many years later, we know that now in 2026, many years later, his ideas will be like will become the foundation of many things in our modern world for the technology we have working around us today. But the system is always quite a hard one to fight against or even fight within. So that was a hard one for Tesla to beat that. But do you remember what I said in the beginning? That Tesla was actually an immigrant arriving in New York. Yes, he was. And this is exactly connected to what I want to bring for our discussion today, because in 2026, being a global professional and work across the borders is becoming, it's still advantage, but it's becoming harder and harder. The world is not the same. And I'm Brazilian working and living in Sweden, so I am also an immigrant, and I'm here contributing to the society. I'm trying doing my best to integrate, of course. The discussion is not the political one. So if you want to reflect and discuss about immigration from a politics perspective and other points, this is not the point of my conversation here. So you can leave if that was expecting. But I'm talking from a business and career perspective. Things are becoming harder this year because the world is changing. The countries are creating big and harder limitations to bring talents or make sure that the companies can bring people from other countries. And the cost for becoming or for building this international career, it's rising. I mean, it's not only about the financial cost I'm talking here, but the stress about that for the people who want to have an international career. Of course, the professionals who already crossed the borders, they are paying a price for that because they are creating so many anxiety about this topic. They are not sure if their visa is going to be renewed in the same way, and if they are bringing or working there with their family and supporting their family, how that is going to play out. And then there is a lot of things around how these people is integrating to the society, which of course is very important. I spoke about that already in a video. That is crucial that if you are moving to a new country, you understand that in this new country you have some different rules and ways of living that are different from your country. I know that moving from Brazil to Sweden. Again, that is not the point. But for the companies and for the professionals, it's for sure becoming a hard thing in 2026 to make sure that we can fill the talent gap, bring the talent for that the company needs, and also for the professionals to move themselves to a new country, to a new opportunity. And for many years, the model was quite clear. A company would have like a talent demand, and they will need to find some qualified people. And if they cannot find that internally or around them in the country, I mean, they will need to research that internationally, and they would hire someone from another country. They will support with the process, and that person will arrive there and start working. But the market right now in 2026 is showing some different signs, and for the first time in many years, this the gap or the movement from people from different countries to work is actually decreasing. We have this research, interesting one, supporting the data for what I'm saying here for the from the International Institute for Management Development, the IMD, and they identify an international mobility systems. It's it's changing completely the job market now. It's slowly but changing. For example, US and UK and actually many other countries in Europe, they are making it a bit harder or tightening the requirements to get work visas, which is making the queue for getting those visas approved quite long and the process much slower. And of course, more expensive, more uncertainties around this. But the needs for the companies didn't change because companies are still facing the challenge of finding the right talent locally. So it's like a structural paradox. The companies don't find the talent in their local country, and they need to find that externally. So they need to see where I can find that, and they go for this slower process now to find an international talent. And people will need more documentation. They feel there is more uncertainty, but talent talented people, they are not waiting on the borders. They for sure are taking the ownership to their careers and considering where it is smarter to move. Sometimes it's even staying in their home country or going to somewhere where the opportunity or the doors are opening in the best way to develop their careers. So many companies are facing this problem. And why it is a structural paradox? Because basically the companies having challenge to hire, they are going to face economic challenge as a consequence because they do not have the talent to work for them. And then where the the snowball will end up having consequences, of course, in the country's economy. So it's complicated, but all the systems that are putting, all the immigrants in the same package, in the same box, is going to create also problems for those countries in terms of economic growth. For the third time, I'm saying that the discussion here is not the political one. So I am sure that there will be someone watching this video and trying to criticize me because of some other perspective from political point of view, and that is not the point. Because the point here, or what I'm addressing, is the immigration to work, talent people who are moving to do some important job that companies cannot find locally. So it's not about the stealing jobs. It's not about those different kind of immigration movements that are being discussed. It's not about that. I'm talking about the problems that companies and talent people are facing with, or the consequences for having everyone classified in the same box. But as I said, the border is not going to block uh, people to continue growing their careers, and who is going to have those consequences are unfortunately the companies. Talents will not disappear at the board. They will not wait until everything is fixed or wait for the company. They will just follow their path and move ahead. If you lead global teams, my question to you or the reflection is, how are you preparing? Because if you're not going to find the talent you need locally, how can you fill the gap? Because you have a gap to be filled. And how are you going to organize your business, your hiring needs to make sure that you are going to find what you need with those in this different moment we are living? And for you as a professional, of course, what are you considering now? I don't know if you already did the movement. Maybe you are already an international professional working in a different country, or maybe you are working in your home country. But how are you feeling about this movement now? Are you feeling that it's a best strategy for you to maybe stay in your home country? Are you investing even more because maybe you're considered this as a good moment to uh, take the brave movement and move to another country? How are you considering that for your career? Please let me know. I'm very curious. Give me a comment and let's keep the discussion going on.